have OneNote on whatever device you want to use, there's instructions here to help you get it and install it. And that is free for use. Okay. So the last of these things, the team email list. Every team has an email list. Those are already populated with all of your team members. So the email list is just EPICS- your team's acronym. So the AAEE team we just looked at, it'd be EPICS-AAEE@ecn.purdue.edu. So if you need to send communications to your team, if after your team meeting this week you find that you are the project manager and you need to get a hold of your team, this goes to your entire team. Your advisor might be on that list. They might not, so don't assume they are if you're trying to send them communications. A couple of notes on paperwork in EPICS. Because we do real projects, you have to buy stuff to build those projects. So we provide a lot in our labs, but you will need materials that we don't have. So you have to buy things. Don't buy them with your own money and then expect us to reimburse you. Come by the office. We have a purchasing form. You'll fill out the purchasing form. We'll order it for you, okay? So you can get those things. Just make sure you do that. Also, in my EPICS, there is a model release form and an Armstrong safety agreement form that you need to agree to in my EPICS. The model release form just says we can use your picture. So your picture might end up on our website or something like that. And the safety agreement says that you will follow the safety rules in the lab, and those are listed in that agreement, okay? So that's very important. We've never had an accident in our labs. I don't intend for us ever to have a serious accident, so please fill that out. Make sure you actually read it. Okay, so the EPICS labs. This is in Armstrong Hall on the first floor, if you don't know where this is. We have a computer lab in Armstrong 1095, so this is facing north in the building. A build lab. So in the build lab, we have saws and drills, hammers, wrenches, anything you'd need to do sort of mechanical building projects. That's where you can go if you need to make a big mess of sawdust. Clean up after yourself when you're done. We have a large prototyping space on the south side of the building, just across the hall. So this is where you'll see big projects like we have a sailboat and a house and a replica Mars rover with a Martian surface enclosure. That's a little bit bigger than my house, I think. These things are all on that side of the lab, so you can store your projects there. The other side of that space is the electronics prototyping. So there we have soldering irons, hookup wire, instrumentation like oscilloscopes and function generators. Then we have two conference rooms, 1098B and C. This is where your lab will meet. Everybody comes up to the doors at 1098. And they turn away because they think that's not it, and they keep walking down the hallway. 1098B and C are inside of 1098, so you do have to go into the lab doors, and then you'll see your conference rooms, okay? So don't get confused on that point. There are always people late the first week because they don't know that. And those are arrows. Sorry, these aren't my slides. And then across the hall, the EPICS office is in Armstrong 1200, so my office is in there. So if you need anything at all that your TA or your advisor can't help you with, come see me. I'm there pretty much all the time. So our labs are for EPICS students only, and they're intended for EPICS projects only. If you have a side project that you're wanting to work on and we have some specific tool that would help you, I'll probably let you do that, but come talk to me first. So the labs are a privilege to use, especially the computer lab. So we have about the only computer lab on campus that is dedicated for one group. All the other ones are very busy all the time. You can always get a seat in here. And there's free printing, which you won't have anywhere else on campus. And if you're freshmen, you'll find out that's a big deal. Don't abuse our printer and go in and print textbooks. It's intended for EPICS materials only. If you print 2 sheets of paper for something else, I won't care. A couple of times this semester, I go in and find a 200-page chemistry notebook. Please don't do that. So no charge for printing unless it's abused. EPICS work only. Again, make sure you swipe your Purdue ID the first day. And do practice a safety first mindset, okay? Common sense is the biggest safety rule. Use your common sense. If you're not comfortable with what you're doing, don't do it. Get help. Come find me. I'll help you. So every semester I get people trying to run the miter saw. They've never used a saw before. They're scared, and because they're scared, they're dangerous, okay? Come find me, I will walk you through it, and then you won't be scared anymore, and you'll know what to do, and it will be safe, okay? So don't hesitate, whatever it is, come find me. If it's not in my area of expertise, I know which TA to find, faculty member to find, I will help you, okay? Respect for shared space is a huge one. I'm positive that I will send you a cranky email somewhere around the middle of the semester and somewhere toward the end of the semester because you're breaking this one. There are almost 500 students this semester that will be using this lab space, okay? If all of you treat it like it's your personal garage, it's a disaster and no one can work in there, okay? Respect the fact that you're sharing it with all of these people and that you're about a quarter of the people who are going to be in there, okay? So if you make a mess, clean up. If you use a tool, put it back, right? Everything has a place. Make sure that it's in that place when you're done with it. So just respect one another by keeping things the way you find them. So this is a big deal to us because it enables us to do these projects that make a difference, okay? Our projects really matter to people, and when our projects get bogged down because somebody can't find a tool or because they don't have a clean space to work, that frustrates me. Some emergency procedures, these are relevant to the Armstrong building, specifically in our lab space. So these aren't the procedures for this room. Every building on Purdue has a building emergency plan. So if you're interested in the emergency procedures, you can find those on that building's website, which you can find by Googling it or whatever search you like. So general guidelines for any kind of a major accident. If you scratch yourself and you need a Band-Aid, we have first aid kits. If it's worse than that, call 911. Tell them where you are. Has everybody signed up for Purdue text alerts already? If you haven't, do that. You'll get 3 a.m. notices about robberies on part of campus you're not in, which are annoying. But if there is a real emergency, it's the quickest way to get useful information, okay? So we did have a campus shooting a couple of years ago, and people were in a panic and they didn't know what to do and how to respond. These go a long way to making you aware of what's happening so that you can respond in a positive way, okay? So we have 2 major kinds of emergencies we'll have to respond to. One is an evacuation. So in any given building, an evacuation is noticed by the fire alarm, usually for a fire. So if you hear the fire alarm, you hear a bell inside the building, get out of the building, and meet up in the rally point for your building, okay? You probably don't know what that is here. I'm not sure what it is here. In our labs, it's out in the main mall between Armstrong and Push. So do meet up there. Don't go back to your dorm or go out to eat or do something else when you leave the building because we will be sending firemen in to get you, okay? We don't want to send emergency personnel into buildings for people who aren't there. So stay with your group, whoever you're with in your lab, stay together, okay? Find your TA or find me or one of the EPICS administrators so that we can do head counts and know who's there and who's not, okay? The other thing is a shelter in place. So the shelter in place alarm you'll hear from outside. So if you hear the alarm outside the building, you want to be in. If you hear it inside the building, you want to be out, right? So you're always going to go away from the alarm. Those could be for severe weather. Those of you who aren't from around here, Indiana gets tornadoes frequently, fairly frequently. So you will probably at some point when you're here have a tornado warning and you may have to take shelter. If that happens, you pretty much always want to be going to the basement of the building that you're in. Fortunately, Purdue has big solid buildings with big basements, which is the best place to be in a tornado. The other options could be a hazardous material release. How you respond to those depends entirely on what the hazardous material is. So again, text alerts are really useful there. And then active shooter. Purdue does provide on Purdue Emergency Preparedness website. They have a video training on what to do in that case. I really advise that you look over that just in case. It's something we hope doesn't happen, but if it is, it's best to be prepared. So again, our rally point for any emergency in Armstrong is here between Push and Armstrong. So this is the main mall that goes into the Purdue fountain here, the Memorial Mall fountain. So you just want to be in that area right there, and that's where we'll rally. You should be following your TAs or your advisor. They should be taking you out to that spot, okay? We talked about that. Yeah, so I haven't seen that. So if there is an active shooter situation, you want to go into a lockable room, take refuge, try and make it look like no one is in the room. So you basically want to look like nobody's there, people will pass by. If you're in our labs, you want to go into the conference rooms, okay? We're going to lock the outside lab doors, but the lab walls are glass. So it's pretty obvious that you're standing there. So go into the conference rooms. That would be the safe place to be. Again, call 911, try and get more information. Any questions on that at all? Okay, any questions on anything that we've covered? Okay. So I'm going to let you guys out a little bit early. I do have to get to the second 5:30 lecture. So just a reminder, if you were thinking about going to the 5:30 lectures, don't. They're only today. After today, if you can't make this lecture, you'll have to do them